What's up, guys? Carolina Jackpot coming at you. It is late on Monday evening. And you thought I forgot about it, didn't you? No, I didn't. Them old picks against the spread from last week on Thursday night. Time for a recap. As always, every week we will recap those games that I picked here on the Carolina Jackpot channel, and we will have our superlatives, the turd of the week, the you should have known better pick of the week, and the boy you sure nailed that one pick of the week. Which one's made the cut? Let's go and find out. Coming in this week, Carolina Jackpot with a 3-week record on college football of 13-14 against the number. So just a little bit under 50%. Gone at it kind of willy-nilly this year. I haven't had a set number of games I've picked each week. Some weeks there seem to be some more significant games than others. Now that we're finally getting into conference play, there's going to be a lot more and a lot more involved ones. So let's see what we can come up with for week number 4 and how I did against the spread. Texas State at Boston College. I picked Boston College there, and that was what unfortunately was incorrect. Boston College did get the win, but they had to come from behind to do it and pull it out 24-21 against Texas State. I think that this is the kind of team Boston College is not used to facing, kind of a smaller, faster team than what they normally see in the ACC. And don't make too much of it. They'll be fine, and they'll bounce back from that one. I don't really know that they put a whole lot into this game, hence, while they may have struggled a little bit. But you see, they were down late by 2 scores and still able to come back and get the win. UCF on the road at East Carolina. I picked East Carolina to cover, and they did. The final score in Greenville was 51-28 in favor of the Golden Knights. Kentucky on the road at Auburn. Kentucky was a 7.5-point underdog. I picked them to cover. Unfortunately, they did not. Auburn won that game 29-13. Going into the fourth quarter, it was 15-13. It was a tight ball game. The Auburn Tigers, though, I guess just superior depth, athleticism, just pulls away in the fourth quarter. That's the difference right there, man. That's the difference between, having a team that's comprised of mainly 4-star talent with some 5-star talent sprinkled in there against a team that's made up of mostly 3 stars, a few 4 stars, and maybe the occasional 5-star, here and there every few years. I mean, that's taking nothing away from Kentucky. They got a good football team. They just were not quite able to get the job done there. Florida on the road at Ole Miss. I picked Ole Miss to cover that number, and they did not. They almost pulled out the backdoor cover. They lost 51-35, and were on the verge of scoring at the end, but they were turned away, and unfortunately missed that pick. Georgia Tech at Syracuse. I took the Orange to cover as they were 7.5-point underdogs at home, and they did. They won 37-20. Got that one straight up over the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Nice job by Syracuse there to get the win. Kansas State on the road at number 3, Oklahoma. I picked Oklahoma to cover the big number of 28, and they didn't cover it. They didn't even win the game. They lose for the second year in a row to the Kansas State Wildcats, 38-35. How does that even happen? Louisville on the road at number 21, Pitt. I picked Pitt to cover the spread here. The number was 3.5. Unfortunately, that pick was wrong. Pitt won 23-20. The hook. 3 in the hook. The hook got me. Mississippi State on the road at LSU. This was one that, a lot of people got this one wrong, and it just shocked a lot of people. 44-34 win by Mississippi State. Now, if you want to take away a pick 6 that Mississippi State threw, it was actually 44-27. So it was actually a little worse than that. LSU gives up 600 and something yards of passing, right, to KJ Costello. Oh, my gosh. 5 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. Of course, they were right out their quarterback, Derek Stingley Jr. Enough. If you could tell me that would have altered the outcome of that game, then you're just nuts. I mean, it may have made some difference, but not that. I mean, they got dominated. West Virginia on the road, number 15, Oak State. I had Oak State covering the spread here, 6.5, and they did. They won that game 27-13. Not really a bounce-back performance, as they didn't lose the week before, but they didn't especially play very good against Tulsa. That wasn't a very impressive victory there, but they come out and get the nice win to open up conference play over the Mountaineers. Number 22, Army at 14, Cincinnati. I had Army covering the number was 14 as of the time that I did my picks. And this one ended up being a push as Army lost that game 24-10. Now, Cincinnati actually covered the final line that came in of 13.5. But for the sake of the Carolina Jackpot picks against the spread, it was a push. Duke at Virginia. I took Duke to cover. And they lost 38-20, but here, once again, is another situation. Duke was winning this ball game 20-17. However, in the fourth quarter, they give up 3 touchdowns to Virginia and lose 38-20. Now, I think that playing, 3 games in 3 weeks for Duke, against fairly tough competition, has just kind of taken its toll on them. And it showed in the fourth quarter of that game, and they just absolutely fell apart. But I was on the way to getting that one. It just didn't happen. So there's an incorrect pick. Georgia at Arkansas. I picked Arkansas to cover, and they did. They were kind of embarrassing Georgia for a while there, but in the second half, they found a little bit of an offensive rhythm, got going a little bit, and they won going away 37-10. They didn't cover the number. They just barely. The hook got them. Man, they play Auburn this week at home. I don't know what to think about that one. That's a tough one. It's going to be a very tough one to figure on. You can chime in on that one if you like. I think they're a 1 touchdown favorite at home. I just don't know about them. Alabama on the road at Missouri. Alabama did not cover. They lost, or they won by a final score of 38-19 over Missouri. Gave up some garbage time points to Mizzou. So, they weren't showing everything in the second half there. They got a matchup with Texas A&M this coming Saturday, and we'll talk a little bit more about Texas A&M in just a minute. Florida State at number 12, Miami. Miami was 11-point favorite. They covered that, and then some. They just about, what's that just called? They quadrupled it. Almost went 58-10 over Florida State, man. Just ugly. 52-10, excuse me. I was off a little bit. 52-10. Very bad performance. Looks like they're in for a really long season down at Florida State. NC State on the road at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech 6.5-point favorite. So they do cover that spread. They won 45-24. You would not believe me if I would tell you that Virginia Tech was missing 25, 30 players, something like that for this game. Including their quarterback. They were down to their third string quarterback. They dominated NC State. So there's that. Number 15, Tennessee in South Carolina. Tennessee wins 31-27. Not much more I can say about that one. I was proud of the way the offense looked for South Carolina for the most part. I think they had a decent offensive game plan. I kind of couldn't understand why they were going away from the run at a lot of times during that game. We were gashing them in the second half, especially bouncing it to the outside. The bigger back, the young kid Kevin Harris, was picking up chunks of yardage on the outside, and the smaller back, Fenwick, was the one who was running between the tackles. But they both looked pretty good. Just going back, I rewatched that game tonight, and man, You ever seen when one of your players, you think, Lord, man, that dude must have had 150 yards rushing. And you look at the stat line, he had like 55. It's because neither one of them broke off any really long runs, but they look good. There were some positives there. There were some positives. I thought the offensive line was a shit show at times, especially in pass pro. But there were some breakdowns there. They've got to improve. We got one young man on the sideline that opted out for this season, and then he opted back in, named Jordan Rhodes. He was supposed to be a starter. So I don't know how that's going to play into anything. I don't know if they're going to work him back into the starting lineup or not, because he was a pretty decent lineman from last year for what I remember. Had some starts. So, the final game of the evening was Vanderbilt on the road at Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt did cover the spread in that game, and they put a scare. I mean, Texas A&M, man, 17-12 win at home over Vanderbilt when you're a 30-point favorite. Texas A&M, bro, you got to do better than that. I mean, you just have to do better than that. Anyway, that's the Carolina Jackpot picks against the spread for week number 4. Let's tally this craziness up. 0-1, 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 2-3, 2-4, 2-5, 2-6, 3-6, 3-6-1, 3-7-1, 4-7-1, 4-8-1. 5-8-1, 6-8-1, 6-9-1, 7-9-1. All right. Okay. 7-9-1 for the week. And I said going into this week we were 13-14. And then 7-9-1 push gives us beep beep doo. Yep. 20-23-1. That's through 4 weeks. Cumulative. Okay. So some work to do there, guys. Some work to do there. There was some picks that didn't go my way this week. Had I we got in a couple of backdoor covers. Had some teams played a little bit better in the fourth quarter. This 2023 or this 7-9-1 would have been drastically different. As always, it's time for the superlatives of the week. The boy you nailed it pick of the week, the you should have known better pick of the week, and of course the turd of the week. Let's start with the you should have known better pick of the week. And
what were you thinking, man? You should have known a lot better than that.
Yes, I should have. That one's brought to you by Miller Lite and Disappointment. Well, tonight it's brought to you by Walmart Neighborhood Market, Fuji Apple Water, and Disappointment. And the you should have known better pick, it's got to be Kentucky and Auburn. It's got to be Kentucky and Auburn. I listened to the analysts. I listened to the podcasts out of Vegas. Just listen to, everybody hyping Kentucky up. And first off, I'm not taking shots at anybody's team here. This is not a shot against Kentucky. I just should have known, but I should have known. I have said multiple times on here that quarterback, it was just not that good in 2018. In 2019, they found a gimmick that worked with the wide receiver at quarterback. They're back to the same guy again, and I mean he looked okay, but come fourth quarter, when it was time, to put up or shut up. I mean they just couldn't do it. They couldn't move the ball, and their defense, which I mean they have a ton of starters returning on their defense, but when they're just either average or a little bit above average, and they're taking on a team like Auburn, who has, like I said, 4- and 5-star talent, even though they're young and they were having to kind of reload this year, maybe rebuild a little bit, they still ultimately were able to pull the victory out just by the fact that the sheer fact, get my words mixed up there, that they just have a little bit better talent. And, I should have known that. Should not have picked Kentucky in that situation, but I did, and that one just jumped up and bit me a little bit. However, you've got some picks where you did a really good job, and
Boy, you straight nailed that shit, player.
you absolutely did. And this one, to me, is going to have to be. There's a couple of them I picked from here. I'm going to have to go with Syracuse over Georgia Tech. There were a lot of people on Georgia Tech for this one. They opened up with a win, last week. They played Central Florida fairly tough for a half, and a lot of people were high on them, thought they would go in there and beat up on the Syracuse team. It was kind of a little bit down on their luck, and things didn't quite work out that way. Syracuse found an offense this weekend, and that's something for them to build on for the future. So the Qs looked really good, and I was really proud of that pick. Kind of not coming slightly in at second place there would have been the NC State at Virginia Tech pick. There were a lot of people on NC State for that one, especially after their performance against Wake Forest, and also coupled with Virginia Tech having some COVID issues. Had I known that starting quarterback was going to be out and that many people were going to be out, I probably would have been on NC State too, but I didn't have that knowledge, so I never went back and changed the pick or made it anything different than what it was. I just went and rolled with the Hokies, and they did a fairly decent job in that game. The Vandy Texas A&M game, I think a lot of people would have picked Vandy to cover the number there of 30.5 points, simply because Texas A&M been known to underwhelm and disappoint. I certainly didn't think it would end up being 17-12 for a final score. I think that had to be the most shocking final score of the evening. Honestly, other if you want to count LSU losing, maybe you think that one's the most shocking. But 17-12, Texas A&M ekes out a win against Vanderbilt. And looking over this slate here, as always, bringing up the rear, we have the turd of the week.
Oh my God, it freaking stinks.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does. And I think that this one has got to be a no-brainer. This has got to be Oklahoma laying a giant turd at home and losing to Kansas State for the second year in a row. Okay? And once again, I'm not taking anything away from Kansas State. They're a decent team. They made a bowl game last year. I think they got a really good coach. He's won multiple championships in FCS in North Dakota State, right? The Bison. And who knows? Could win some Big 12 championships over here at K-State eventually. But there is no way that Oklahoma should be getting beaten by them, especially 2 years in a row. What are you doing? I mean, they just lost to Arkansas State a couple of weeks ago. You got this young quarterback, this new guy that's supposed to be, the next in that long line of guys like Baker Mayfield and Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray. And then this dude, man, they blew it in the second half. I mean, they really did. They blew it. I don't know. Oklahoma seems to do this kind of stuff every year. I mean, seem to do it every year. They lose some crazy game to somebody they shouldn't. I mean, this is the second year in a row that it's been Kansas State. I mean, could they rebound and win the rest of their games and win the Big 12? I mean, they certainly could. But, that's a crazy conference where anything can happen. So I'll be looking for Oklahoma to rebound here. I don't think they're that bad, but man, just blew it. They had a decent-sized lead too. They were on the verge of opening it up against Kansas State, and man, they just couldn't get the job done. So there it is, guys. That is the week number 4 picks against the spread. They're in the books. Hopefully yours went a little bit better than mine did. But we're going to keep on plugging away at it. We're going to keep on trying. And I'm telling you, we will finish over 50% in college football this year before it is all said and done. All right, I will see y'all later. Appreciate you watching. If you're not subscribed to this channel, make sure you hit the thumbs up button on this video and subscribe to the channel. You know, post college football content here all the time, and we have a heck of a lot of fun doing it. I'll see y'all later. Appreciate it. Peace, and I'm out. Go Gamecocks, baby. Spurs up to my toes up.